Endicott, and he was selected as the Entrepreneur of the Year this year for the Entrepreneur Center. Just a few things about him. He's the CEO and the president of ExactWave, which is a leading provider of on-demand postal data and list management solutions. James oversees corporate management and strategic direction. As a founder of ExactWave, James has successfully directed the company to significant growth in each of its first 6 years. And this is pretty cool. In 2005 and 2007, hottest and brightest business leaders under the age of 40. ExactWave was also recognized as the 21st fastest growing company in Utah by Mountain West Capital. Prior to ExactWave, James also worked as a strategic internet marketing consultant. He's currently the chairman of Groovy.com, an internet social media aggregator. He also serves as the founder advisor of the business plan competition here at BYU. So all of you that are gearing up for that, he's the advisor for that. James is a serial entrepreneur with a passion for building companies. He has built numerous startups and understands the process of growing a successful organization. He holds an MBA from the David Eckley School of Business at the University of Utah and a bachelor's degree from Brigham Young University. James and his beautiful wife Beverly have 4 children, and they live in Linden, Utah. So let's give a round of applause to James Endicott.
Is this working? Okay. Thank you. It's great to be here with you. I get to lecture here at least once a year, sometimes twice a year, and it's one of my favorite things to do. I always look forward to it. I changed my presentation this time, so we'll see how I do. I used to get nervous when I'd come lecture to this group, because it's a fairly large group, and then they had me lecture on TV this morning, and potentially lots of people could see that, and that made me a little nervous to be in front of a camera, because I'm not used to that. Although I made an infomercial once, and I was about 27 years old, and I had a product, a software product, and I was approached by a company to make an infomercial. And I was excited, and the star, they threw around all these names to be the star of our infomercial. And they ended up picking a guy, and I honestly don't remember his name, but his claim to fame is that he was the original Ronald McDonald. And so you wouldn't recognize him because he didn't have his makeup on, but he was the star of our infomercial. And I had a part in the infomercial. And I have it somewhere on a VHS tape. I need to get it converted to digital before it expires, and I don't have a copy of it anymore. Fairly successful, very successful in Europe and in South Africa, moderately successful in the United States. So, what do you know? Let me give you a plug. Let me give a plug for the business plan competition. For the last couple of years, I've been an advisor to the business plan competition. And we have the best business plan competition at Brigham Young University in the country. We have the largest cash prizes of any school competition in the country. Okay? And believe me, if you want to get a jump start on launching your business, how does $35,000, $50,000 cash sound? That's a lot of money. I would have loved to do that as a student. In fact, I helped write a winning business plan when I was a student at BYU. It was one of the very first years they had the competition, and the prize I think was $2,000. And so I didn't get the money because I didn't own the company. But it wouldn't have made made a little bit of impact on the company. But imagine getting that kind of capital and the services. Last year, we probably had the most successful year in our competition. Our 2 top teams, Climate and School Tip Line, did so well at our school and in other competitions around the country at different universities that have external competitions, that we took both of them to the national or international championships at the University of Texas. It's called Moot Corp. And we placed 2nd and 5th. Out of all the schools from around the world that came, the only school to have 2 teams placed at the top ever. And so it is amazing. And a lot of people felt that Climate, who came in 2nd, should have won. And it was a close call. We lost to Carnegie Mellon University, and it'd be a whole presentation to go into that. But it was a wonderful experience for those students. And both those companies have taken off. They've raised additional capital outside of BYU, and they're on their way to great success. So you talk about a breeding ground for launching your company. Now's the time to do it. Don't wait till after you graduate. Do it now, because there's so many resources here for you. There's mentors, there's faculty, there's all these people that are going to help you. And so I would advise you to take advantage. We started Entrepreneurs Anonymous. It's kind of a way to get together with other entrepreneurs, people who want to launch businesses, and just chat, mingle, have some free food, and maybe find some people that can join your company or your team. And I think it's a great opportunity. So take advantage of that and show up and see how it goes for you. Our business plan competition, is next semester, but we're getting going. And so now's the time to put together a team and get your business plan going and be ready to go. Enough about that. Let me give you a little background about myself. I grew up down in San Diego, California. Always wanted to go to BYU, came here, and had a great time at Brigham Young University. Studied education with a plan to get an MBA, which I did. Went out into the job field, took a job, and it was a great job, great company, and just wasn't for me. I didn't feel comfortable. I was always wanting to do my own thing. I was always wanting to improve the company, and I was going to the CEO with ideas, and it was falling on deaf ears because I was entry level, recent college graduate, and that's the way the business world works. You have to work your way up. But I was a little too anxious for that. I wanted to do my own thing, and so I made the decision to leave, come back to Utah, earn an MBA, and launch a company, which I did at the age of 27, 26, something like that. And after a lot of hard work, had a great deal of success. Built an international company that did business all over the world. Sold that company, and then got very heavily involved in internet marketing, which is kind of my expertise. And did consulting for quite a few years, and then decided to go back to work and launch a new company, which I did in 2002. And I'll talk a little bit about that company today. There's three major things. There we go. I'm going to touch on today. I'm going to talk about some characteristics of successful entrepreneurs. I'm going to talk about launching a profitable e-business on a shoestring. And I'm going to tell you how every one of you in this room today who has the desire could launch a successful e-business. And then I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about the Lord's advice to you as entrepreneurs and how you can succeed the Lord's way. Okay, 5 characteristics of successful entrepreneurs. Number 1, successful entrepreneurs are risk takers. Now, you've heard that before. I talk to people all the time who come up to me and say, I want to be an entrepreneur. And after spending a few minutes talking to them, they realize themselves that they're not willing to take any type of risk. They're always talking about how, I don't know if I can leave my salary. I'd lose my benefits. I wouldn't have the health insurance provided to me anymore. I'd lose my 401k. I have children at home, and it would be too difficult to leave, and take that risk. I'm putting them at jeopardy. And those are all valid points, and to me, those are valid points to them, not to me, because you can go get health insurance plan anytime you want. You can start your own 401k. It's called a savings account. You can take measures to launch a business without completely risking your family's future. And who wants a job anyway? When you can run your own business. So, risk-taking to me is being willing to step out of your safety zone and being willing to say, hey, I'm going to make something happen. I'm going to have faith. I'm going to do it the right way, and I'm just going to step up and make it happen. And sure, there are a lot of unknowns. Isn't that how life works, though? There's unknowns. And if you're willing to do that at some point along your path, if you put in the right effort and so forth, you will achieve success. I can't determine what success that will be. Some people become extremely successful financially. Some people become moderately successful. But I'll tell you what, when I first launched my business, my goal was to replace my full-time income, which at the time was like $40,000. That's what I started at out of college. And I thought, man, if I could make $40,000 a year working for myself, doing it my way, I'd be really happy. And so to me, that was success. And when I achieved that, I thought, I can do even more than this. I know I can, and so I can build it up, and I can be even more successful. And so you have to determine for yourself what success is. But you have to be willing to take the risks, the initial risks, to make it happen. Come on. I had to put that in there. See, BYU took the risk, right, to make the play, make it happen. Anyway, I love BYU football. Successful entrepreneurs love what they do. Without passion and love for what you do, it's really difficult to be successful. How many of you have had a class or a job that you're just not passionate about, you really don't care much about? It's difficult to succeed. And you might be talented and smart enough to still get an A or still be successful at it, but you don't really enjoy the process. Can you imagine spending your life doing something you don't really enjoy? I mean, to me, that's the definition of the wrong place, being in the wrong place. So find what you love to do, what you're good at. Generally, for me, what I'm really good at is lots of times things I love to do, right? Find out what that is and go into that area because you'll have interest in it, and your enthusiasm and your drive and desire will help you become successful. One of my great interests is online marketing. I love the challenge of doing better than my competitors and finding ways to improve online marketing for our business. And it's such a passion of mine that it's helped us be successful and helped me to be a successful entrepreneur. And I love teaching that to my workers who come to work for me, and I train them and I teach them how to be internet marketers. And some of them don't have the passion and they don't achieve the same level of success. But those that do can. Things that we're passionate about. I love sports, and so I do a lot in sports, and I never get tired of it, Spent my whole life in that area, and I don't think I ever will get tired. And so there's passions that we have. And if you can find that in your business, and if you can launch a business that's in that area, the world's yours as far as the amount of success you can achieve. Successful entrepreneurs work hard and work smart. Now, there's a lot of people that sell you the dream of, get rich, drive a fancy car, have a big house, fancy vacations. That's what, being rich and successful is all about. And believe me, it might be for a few people, but it's not. Successful entrepreneurs work hard. Otherwise, they wouldn't be successful. I mean, I work harder, and I work more hours than anybody who works for me that I pay a paycheck to. And I don't mind it because I'm passionate about it and I enjoy what I do. But it takes hard work to be successful. No matter what you do in life, you'll find it takes hard work. But you'll also find that if you're good at what you do, it doesn't seem like hard work. So when I'm working, I don't even feel like I'm working. I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me because I'm good at it and I enjoy it. Successful entrepreneurs work smart. And working smart is going into areas that you're good at and making smart decisions, calculated decisions. And we'll talk about that as I talk about my company and how we launched it. I'll talk about how we took measures and steps to make sure we were launching our company in a smart manner that helped us to be successful. Successful entrepreneurs are leaders. I can't imagine how you could successfully run a business or make money without being a leader. If you're going to have employees, if you're going to have customers, if you're going to have partners, you've got to be able to lead them. Part of the benefits of being an entrepreneur is that if you're not a leader, you're going to learn to be a leader because you're going to have to fill that role. And it's a great opportunity for you. I've done things in my life where I've had to step up to the plate. I've had to take control. And that's when growth happens. And so if you're a successful entrepreneur, you learn to be a leader, not only in your business, but in other aspects of your life. And believe me, it carries over into everything you do. Successful entrepreneurs are not afraid to fail. I love this quote, success is 99% failure. I don't know if that's true, but it's the point is valid, that with success comes a lot of failures along the way. You've all heard, Thomas Edison say that, he failed. People say, well, you failed 10,000 times before you got the light bulb right. And he said, well, I didn't fail. Those were 10,000 successes that were done incorrectly along the way. Sol Price, I don't know how many of you have heard of Sol Price. He started the Price Club. He also started a company called FedMart. And he started a bunch of other companies. If you're from Southern California, you might be familiar with him. Extremely successful entrepreneur, launched multiple multi-million and billion-dollar companies. And he'd launch a company, become extremely successful, and for some reason, he'd fail. They'd go out of business. I can remember shopping at FedMart when I was a kid with my parents, and then it was gone. And then a few years later, he'd start another business, become extremely successful. He had that happen to him 5 or 6 times during his life. The last company he launched was the Price Club, which is now called Costco. One of his employees who worked for him at Price Club left and launched Costco, same exact model, and ended up buying the Price Club. But he built a whole new model, became extremely successful, and he did this multiple times during his life. And the point is, if you're going to be successful, chances are there's going to be a lot of failures along the way. And whether or not you ultimately achieve success is whether or not you get up and keep going. And don't count it as a failure, as a stopping point, but just keep moving. I've had plenty of those along the way. And, the first time you try may be a failure. It may be a success. It may be the second or the third time that the failure comes. But it's not really a failure. It's just a failure in terminology. It's really a learning experience. And the key to being successful as an entrepreneur is just keep going and not give up. And if you do that, there's no way you cannot be successful. Okay, I'd like to talk a little bit about ExactWave and our background. We're a leading provider of on-demand postal data and list management solutions. We have over 35,000 customers worldwide. Over 80% of the Fortune 500 companies are our customers. When we launched ExactWave, we were in a position where I brought on a partner who was a programmer, developer, and we had only a small amount of operating capital to start with. So we launched it on a shoestring. We didn't go out and try and raise any capital. We didn't borrow any money. We just launched it. We started by working out of his parents' basement. We could have worked out of my basement, my house, but I couldn't get a high-speed internet connection at the time in Linden. It didn't exist. And it's kind of hard to launch a business on a dial-up connection. So we launched out of his parents' basement. We moved offices 6 times in the first 15 months. And what we do is we'd go out, we'd find an office that would rent to us month to month. So we'd have very little commitment, small price tag. We moved in our church tables and chairs and our computers, and we went to work. And our goal was to keep our operating costs extremely low. Even after we were profitable and making money, we didn't find a reason to spend more money on that at the time. We'd rather reinvest the money into our company. So every time they'd come around and say, hey, we found someone, you got to move out, we'd load everything in the back of a truck and we'd move to a new office. And we did that 6 times. And we were able to keep our expenses very low. Even to this day, we spend very little on our office space. If you came, you'd say, these guys don't look like they make very much money, or they don't look like a very successful company. But we're not worried about that because we don't have walk-in traffic, and we're not trying to impress anyone. What our goal is to be as profitable of an entity as we possibly can be. Our first year sales, we launched in August 2002. Our first year sales were $75,000. Second year, $450,000. You can see the growth we had, and we continue to grow at about that pace for the next 5 years. What I'm most proud of is, to this day, we're a debt-free company. We've never taken any outside capital, and we've never borrowed from anyone. That's important to me because as an owner of the company, I don't report to anyone. I don't have to pay off debts. I don't have to worry about that. I don't have anything held over my head. If we have a down month, it bothers me, but I'm not reporting to anyone that we had a down month. We've had offers. I get calls all the time. People want to invest in our company and want to help us grow faster. And chances are we might grow faster if we took their money, but I would lose control of my baby, essentially. So we've made the decision not to do that. The early years, this is what we did to launch our company. We found a niche market with outdated technology. And so as I was searching online, we were searching for a particular product. We found the product. We found who was selling the product, the price, and the technology didn't seem right. And so we checked it out, and we found a lot of mistakes. We found that essentially it was a market that was kind of stagnant. Companies were selling data that wasn't up to date and wasn't really filling the needs of their customers. The other thing I did is I analyzed the search engines to see how we could market it, if we could capture market, if there was an ability to become a leader in search engine marketing in this particular area. And what I found is that we could. And I felt we could do it fairly quickly. And if we could, I knew we could capture a large piece of the market. So by the time we launched our company, we knew the following. We knew how big our market was. And by the way, these are steps you can take to understand things you can do before you launch a company to know whether or not you can be successful. We knew how big our market was. We knew how quickly we could capture a lead in the market. And these, of course, were estimates, but we had a very good idea on how quickly we could become the leader in the market. We knew who our competition was, their strengths, their weaknesses, why they were in the market, what their product was like. We purchased every product in the market. We analyzed it. We knew how we were going to reach our customers on a limited budget. We knew how we could reinvent our space with better technology, better delivery method, and a better product. So we spent 3 months developing our initial products. What we found in our space is that competitors had a website, but almost every competitor required you to call them to purchase their product or fax in a form to purchase their product. Or if you could buy it online, they mailed it to you. Now we're talking about data. And it seemed to me that data should be purchased online and downloaded immediately, right, for use within your company. And so that's what we did. I also felt the products were way overpriced in the marketplace. And so we came in at a lower end price with a plan to raise the price up to a certain point where we thought we could be very profitable and very competitive in the market, and that's what we did. Another thing we did when we first launched, we're talking about quite a bit of data, and in order to give our customers a good product, we had to pull in data from hundreds of different sources, compile that data together, scrub it, run it against U.S. Postal Service data to make sure it was accurate, to find discrepancies or problems in the Postal Service data, and then deliver a good product to our customers. It's quite a task. In fact, it would take virtually the entire month to do that process. And so as we ran numbers, we found it would be difficult to be a profitable company if it took that long, because it would either take one person an entire month or we'd have to hire teams of developers to compile the data to get it out faster. So what we decided to do was to automate as much of the process as we could, and we thought maybe we could cut the time in half or more. After about 6 months of development on automating the process, we got it down to about 3 hours worth of work. So it took one programmer 3 hours to get all the data ready, because everything else was done through automation. You can imagine what that did to our profitability and our ability, because now my programmers aren't spending all their time getting the data ready. They're spending their time building new products, and they're spending their time building efficiencies. And so that helped us. It also allowed us to increase our product line to hundreds of products rather than just a handful of products. Lessons we learned. After we captured a majority of our market space, our sales began to taper off. We weren't growing as quickly as we were before. So here's steps we took. We introduced new products, products for different countries, different types of products that we felt could help in business efficiencies. We began to actively market to our existing customer base, which we weren't doing at the time. And what we found is most of our customers didn't continue to buy from us because they simply weren't educated and didn't understand that the data they were buying became old after just 30 days. Literally, the Postal Service would make hundreds or thousands of corrections to the postal data after virtually every month. And so we had to educate our customers that they needed to buy subscriptions or they needed to renew their product on a monthly basis. And our sales took off once they started to realize that and understand that. By the way, our number one customer is the U.S. Postal Service. So in other words, part of the data we use comes from them, a big piece of it. We improve the data, and then they buy it back from us to use within their own organization because they understand their data is not completely accurate. We also started partnerships, and that allowed us to grow in other arenas. We reached a point, Exactway became a lifestyle company is what it became because I wanted to stay small. I didn't want to hire a ton of employees and have all that overhead and all those issues of dealing with employees. We wanted to automate. And we were very successful at that. And for a long time, we didn't have any employees. And if we needed someone to work on a project, we'd outsource it to them. Even today, we don't have very many employees. I can't imagine there's another company in the state of Utah that is our size revenue-wise that has so few employees as we do. If there is, I'd love to meet them and figure out how they're doing it. But in 2005, we decided we wanted to stop being a lifestyle company, and we wanted to reach ambitious goals. So we decided we wanted to become a $100 million company as a starting point. And so I spent a year studying our marketplace because I had to figure out how we were going to grow that big. We weren't going to do it with our existing products. We weren't going to do it in our niche space. So I started analyzing some of our competitors because some of our competitors were very big companies, billion-dollar companies. And I wanted to know, where else is their revenue coming from? And they must feel that there are some similarities between the products. And so if they're doing it, maybe we can do it. Maybe there's an opportunity for us. And so what I found out is that one reason we'd captured our market so quickly is because our bigger competitors didn't care. They didn't care that we captured that market because it was such a small piece of their business that they simply overlooked it. And so as we started to analyze, I found that our bigger competitors were great big billion-dollar companies like Experian and Pitney Bowes and Melissa Data. It was a $200 billion industry that we could enter with products. And the great part was it was similar to the industry we had already gone into in that the technology, in our opinion, was outdated. They were selling software that you installed on your machines, and you had to buy a license for every single computer, and you had to update that software every single month, so they had to mail you updates, or you had to download updates and install them on every machine. It became a network administrator's headache. And we thought, this should be a software as a service model. You should be able to have software that simply runs on the web. You upload your list, you do whatever you're going to do, does its work, you download it, it's done. You don't ever have to install any software. You don't have to worry about all those headaches. So we launched into an industry with very little competitors. 2 major certifications we had to do, and these are products that work with the United States Postal Service to scrub and certify mailing lists. So if your company's going to do a mailing to 1 million people or 10,000 people or 10 million people, if you want to get good postal rates, you have to scrub your lists, make sure they're accurate, and then you have to certify them, and then they'll give you cheaper postal rates than a 42-cent stamp. And so our first certification was CAS certification. We only have 20 competitors in the marketplace, and we're the only software as a service model. We're already out in the marketplace. We've had tremendous growth in the last year since we launched. In the meantime, we've been working on PAVE certification, which is the hard one. There's only 5 other companies out there that have a PAVE engine or PAVE certification engine. So we only have 5 competitors. Why is it? The barrier to entry is extremely high. I mean, we've been working on this software for several years. Getting the certification is extremely difficult. But once you get it, the market is huge. And the opportunity we feel we have as the only software as a service model is we can capture a tremendous market fairly quickly. We believe we're going to have our certifications done within 60 days, and then we'll launch into the market with a suite of products. And we should see quite a bit of growth. So if you're here next year when I speak, I'll let you know how it's gone. So I was able to launch successful e-businesses. Now I want to tell you how you can launch a successful e-business, a profitable e-business. 3 steps. Find an innovative product or service. I can't tell you what it is because I don't know you. I don't know your interests, your level of expertise, but find something that you know. It could be anything, honestly. Get a well-designed website. Okay, site can't look like your brother-in-law or your little, your 13-year-old brother-in-law built it for you, that type of thing. Or it can't look like it was built in the 90s, that type of thing. You got to have a great website. And learn to effectively do search engine marketing. Okay, that's how people find you, is in the search engines. So whether that's getting good rankings in search engines or doing advertising inside the major search engines. Those are 3 major steps to launching a profitable e-business. So how do I come up with an idea? And how do I know if it'll really make money? Find an underdeveloped market or a niche. It can be a small market. It's amazing. Find a product or service where there seems to be room for a better mousetrap. Okay? This is what I do. This is the analysis I do before we launch a product. Is there room? Can I build something better that customers are going to want? To give you an example, besides our major business, we have side businesses and we own a bunch of websites. And this really comes about because I'm constantly coming up with ideas and I'm writing them down. And then I look at them, and the ideas I think are good, I analyze them. And 1 out of 1,000 actually works out for me. But an example is businessplansuccess.com. So I'm an entrepreneur. I'm into writing business plans. I advise the business plan competition. I was looking online. This is before I got involved in the business plan competition, but found that there really wasn't a lot of great business plan products out there. There was one major player in the industry, offline and online, that controlled the industry. There were a couple other smaller products. This product was fairly high priced, and I felt there was an entry point at about half that price where we could enter with a good product that's downloaded from the internet that helps entrepreneurs write a business plan. It's got all the financials connected to it, so as you go through your plan, it builds everything for you. It's just a lot cheaper than the major product in the marketplace. So I spent about 6 months in my spare time building a business plan template for companies to use, getting it perfected, launched it in 2004. Within a couple of years, sales were in the 6 figures range. Okay? And it's continuing to grow. And we're the number 2 business plan product behind Business Plan Pro, which is the leader in the industry. Business Plan Pro is literally 1,000 times bigger than we are. I mean, millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars in sales. And I haven't had the time to put into it to really compete with them, to build a product like theirs, which we certainly could. But honestly, what I did there is something that every one of you could do. You could build a similar product, although don't build a business plan template. But you could build a product like that and launch it and have a website, manage it, run it, and literally have a 6-figure website. I mean, could you be happy if you owned a website that made 6 figures annually? I don't think. Well, I would hope none of you would complain about that. Examples of successful internet businesses. Well, there's all the big boys up there, Facebooks and Googles and Yahoos and these billionaires who have built huge businesses. But here are some local businesses, online businesses that you may or may not have heard of. StopDirt.com. This is a local woman here in Utah County. She sells doormats online. She was voted top 40 under 40 this last year. She's very successful. Works from her house, makes a lot of money. She knows doormats. I don't know doormats. I'm not going to compete with her. Flamingo World is a coupon site. You've seen these. These are a dime a dozen, right? There's 1 million of them out there. She does over $3 million in revenue every year off of her coupon site. JarOpener.com was started by a BYU student. I mean, it literally sells a jar opener. Successful. TourGuideMike.com. It's a site that helps you when you go to Disney World to navigate Disney World well. Gives you hints and tips. What's which rides to go to, what time of day, depending on the time of year it is. And the guy that owns this used to live here. He started it. He worked at a local company, and it became so successful. He moved his family to Orlando, and every week he goes to Disney World and does all this stuff so that he can report to his users, what the traffic's like, what rides are doing well, and and you can build your plan. And to do all that, you pay a small fee to do all that stuff, and it's very successful. DearElder.com was started by a BYU student, right? Helps you send packages, letters to missionaries. AirBedsForLess.com, started by a BYU Idaho student who last year came down and competed in the Student Entrepreneur of the Year competition at BYU and won it. And he sells airbeds. Okay, he has a great story. He literally go down to Walmart and buy them and sell them on the internet, and got big enough that he went straight to the supplier, and he sells airbeds, and he does very well on the internet. My Dog Toys. This is not a local company. This is a company I used to work with, and they just manufacture dog toys in China, and they're just heavy-duty ones that a big dog can't rip apart in 5 minutes. They can play with for months, and does over $10 million in sales. Honestly, I was at my friend owns the warehousing company that works with these guys. I happened to be at his warehouse down in Phoenix over a holiday weekend. And this website sent out just an email blast to all their customers with a sale. And the orders were coming in at a pace of 1.5, one order for every 1.5 seconds that day. That's how many sales they were doing. It's amazing. So, they're experts in dog toys. I'm not going to launch a dog toy site. The thing is, you can do anything you want. You can build a successful business, okay? And, if you're going to launch the next Google, then don't launch a dog toy site. But if you want to build a successful income, successful business, there you go. Okay. I got to hurry before we run out of time. Achieving financial success the Lord's way. There is a right way to do it, okay? There's always a million wrong ways to do something and one right way. And if you want to do it right, do it the Lord's way, okay? Here's some scriptures that help us understand that. Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Okay? If you're going to launch a business, if you want to be an entrepreneur, trust in the Lord. Make him your partner. Have faith in him. And believe me, he'll help you. I promise you, he wants you to succeed. He wants you to be successful. You just simply need to trust in him and rely on him. Okay? Jacob 2:18-19. But before ye seek for riches, seek ye for the kingdom of God. And after ye have obtained a hope in Christ, ye shall obtain riches, if you seek them. And ye will seek them for the intent to do good. Okay, this to me is extremely important. And I work with hundreds of incredibly successful entrepreneurs here at BYU. We get together every year, several times a year. We go on trips together. And it's been a great opportunity for me to mingle with them But I can tell you, they follow this, okay? They seek the kingdom of God, and they seek riches. Every one of them seek riches. I mean, there's a reason why they're successful and wealthy, but every one of them do it with the intent to do good. And they bless the lives of others, and they're involved in foundations, and they spend their time and their energy and their money blessing the lives of other people, not just themselves. I've also known some very, very successful, wealthy, young entrepreneurs who haven't followed this. Everything's been about them. And I've seen it cause issues in their family. And, they don't wake up one day and their money's gone and they're not rich anymore. But I can promise you that the adage, money doesn't buy happiness, it's true. What buys happiness is giving and serving. Okay? This D&C 38:39, and if you seek the riches, which it is the will of the Father to give unto you, ye shall be the richest people, for ye shall have the riches of eternity. And it must needs be that the riches of the earth are mine to give, but beware of pride, lest ye become as the Nephites of old. So the Heavenly Father wants to give you riches, okay? But your heart needs to be in the right place, and you need to take the steps to earn them, okay? Finally, avoid pride in Helaman. Yea, and we may see at the very time when he doth prosper his people, then is the time that they do harden their hearts, and do forget the Lord their God, and do trample under their feet the Holy One. And this because of the ease and their exceeding great prosperity. And so as you start to achieve prosperity and success, that's the time when you need to turn to Heavenly Father and thank Him and bless the lives of others and those around you. To me, I love being an entrepreneur. I love the opportunities it provides for me and my family, and I love the opportunities it provides for me to be here lecturing and to be in the Philippines serving and to do other things that I'm able to be involved with because I run my own business. And I wish nothing but the same success to each of you. Now, do we have any questions? Yes.
What is one of the ways that you would recommend finding and developing your strengths?
Well, for the most part, I think if you really do a good analysis of yourself, you kind of know what your strengths are. And they come through trial and error as well, finding out. But I think you have to get out in the market and find out what your strengths are, and then keep going down those avenues. I mean, I've always known I'm not a people person. Okay, when I go to a party, I'm not the guy everyone runs up to, and I'm not talking the whole night. I'm kind of quiet. So I'm not a salesman. I'm not out selling products to people door to door. That's not, I would be a complete failure at that. But I'm pretty good at analyzing situations and figuring out ways to make things work. And so I've played upon those strengths to find out what I'm good at. And I've gone into those avenues with business. And those strengths that I don't have, I hire people who have them. And they come in with those strengths and they help make our team successful. Yes?
Do you design your own websites then, or hire somebody else to do that?
I hire people to do it. I'm not a web programmer or software programmer. But when I got into this arena, I actually bought some books. I taught myself, and I can design a website. But I can't do as good a job as some people. And so, to me, it's important to do things right. And so I always outsource it or have someone build it so it's done correctly and it looks great and it's up to date and doesn't look like I built it. But I can do it. And the reason I did it wasn't so much so that I would do the work, it's so that I understood. I could work with the people, I could work with the engineers to make sure things got done the way I wanted them done. Yeah.
One of the problems I find is I think there's a lot of ways to make money, and there's a lot of things I like to do. How do you choose, of all the ideas that you have, which ones, for example, Exact Wave, why did you go with that idea over other ideas that you had? Sounds like you have a lot of ideas.
Well, it was the analysis and the research I did led me to believe that there was a great opportunity there. And such a great opportunity, I didn't want to pass it up. So I put the pieces in place. And really, if you can do a lot of that work ahead of time rather than just jumping into something, you can save yourself a lot of headaches and heartaches.
Can we get a copy of the way you analyze your business? I assume it's just this that you've gone over today. Is there any way we can get a copy of that?
Yeah, come talk to me afterwards. Time for one more question. Yes.
What's been your greatest struggle in starting an old business, and how did you overcome it?
Probably just lack of knowledge or understanding in certain areas, and being naive to a certain degree in the mistakes you make. You can make mistakes that are really damaging, but the key is to just keep going. I was telling a group earlier, my first company, I was doing business in countries that I didn't understand. I didn't understand how it worked there, how the legal process worked there, and the mistakes we made cost us millions of dollars. And there were proper ways to do business there, but I didn't understand that I needed to go about them or how to go about them properly. I just jumped right in. And today I don't do that. Before I jump into something, I make sure I consult with professionals and know what I'm doing before we jump in. And had I done that before, it would have saved a lot of heartache. So thank you very much for coming.